Welcome to Developer Service YouTube channel. On today's video, we're going to be doing something different, and we're going to be implementing a hero's journey story generator in Python, of course. So it is a Python application that can generate personalized mythological stories based on the hero's journey structure and incorporates elements from the Thompson Motif Index. So it has its features. It can generate a personalized story based on user input. It has integration with Ollama for AI-powered generation story, text-to-speech narration. It exports the story for Markdown format. It has a random motif selection from the Thompson Motif Index, and it uses a familiar story framework, the Campbell's Hero Journey, that always resonates across several cultures. So let's start with the library requirements we're going to need for this quirky Python script. So we're going to need Faker to simulate some data. We're going to be using PyTTX-X3 so that we can do text-to-speech, Ollama, of course, for the AI generation, and TQDM for the progress bar if we need to download the particular Ollama model that we are going to use. So as usual, you will need to install the requirements if you have not installed already, and with pip install -r requirements.txt. I've already installed them, so I would not need to install them, but you will need to, of course, install the requirements. So it is the Thompson Motif Index. The Thompson Motif Index is a compilation of 6 volumes that categorize the different motifs, the granular elements of folklore by the American folklorist Steve Thompson. It allows to categorize the different types of folklore around the world in different categories. If we see some examples, we have the mythological motifs that can be the creator. Inside the creator can be created from above, can be also male and female creators. We have gods, twin gods. If we take a look at the other ones, we can also see word calamities, falling into ogre's power, ogre defeated. So kind of all the folk tales have been compiled and categorized in these categories, and we can use these categories to enhance our script to be able to create mythological stories with a much more complex and much more intricate content. For the Thompson Motif Index, I'm going to use the JSON file that has been compiled in this repository. I'll leave a link in the description. And if you go to data, tmy.json, in the view the raw, you have a JSON compilation of all those categories that we were seeing in the Wikipedia, and you can download this file and place it in the same directory as your script. I've already done so you can see the tmi.json. I've already downloaded, and it has here. So it has the code of the motif, the type of motif, the different locations where this kind of particular folklore is known for, and it has particular references. So let's now take a look at the code that is necessary. So we have our imports, nothing particular unusual there. Importing our JSON, datetimes, our faker, of course Ollama to take care of the integration with Ollama, the TQDM for the progress bar. So how are we going to implement this? We're going to be defining the class, the HeroJourneyGenerator. So that has all the built-in methods. It's responsible for the entire story generation process, from collecting the user input to generating the story and also saving it to Markdown and narrating it with text-to-speech. Our init method, it sets up several different things. It sets up Faker for the random name generator, it sets up the text-to-speech engine, and with different properties, in this case both the speed and the volume. It initializes the Ollama client, and we hard-code the Ollama model. In this case, we're going to use Llama 3.2.1b, and we're going to use this version because it is very small, but also very powerful, and it can run very quickly on a CPU. We then have our check model method, and this performs several things. First, it gets a list of the current installed models with Ollama. Of course, as mentioned before, you will need to have the Ollama installed, and you can do that by going to the Ollama website and downloading the version that corresponds to your operating system. So it returns a list of models that are installed. It gets the model names, and if the model that we want to use, in this case the Ollama 3.2.1b, it is not there, it's going to start with a progress bar. It's going to start the pull operation for that model. So the Ollama client is going to do the pull. It's going to be streaming, so we can create the progress bar for the download. So from the pull operation, which is the pull that we are doing, each chunk contains both the status and how much it has completed from the total of bytes that are supposed to be downloaded. We calculate those totals and we update the progress bar with the corresponding value. After it finishes downloading and it has the success status, we just update the progress bar to indicate it has been downloaded. We make a small slip just to make the progress bar more visible while the progress is downloading. Of course, if there is an error, then we're going to be also stating the error of the code, and also that we can install the Ollama and also manually do the model pull. Next, we get our user input function, and what is that going to do? That is going to be getting the user input, so it's going to get the name. If the user does not introduce the name, then we're going to be creating one with a faker module. We get the birthday from the user that the user needs to input. Next, we have our function that loads the motifs from the JSON file and returns a list of the 3 random selected motifs. So of course, first we open the JSON file in read-only mode with UTF-8. We load that into JSON, and from that JSON we do a random sample and we select 3 motifs from there, and we return those 3 selected motifs. And if we cannot find the file, we return an error. So then we have our function that generates a part of the story. If you remember, we are going to be building part of the hero's journey of Campbell. So this function is responsible for each part of that journey. So it receives a string of the prompt to generate that particular story part, and obviously returns as a string also the generated story part. Since we'll be using Ollama here to create the story, we have our system prompt, which is just set up the AI to be master storytelling, that we want the story to be rich, emotional depth, mythological, action and reflection, incorporation of the different motifs that we'll be passing in, style that is accessible in profound. So we're doing the system prompt for the AI. We are then calling the chat with the Ollama client. We're passing in the model name, and we're passing in both the system message with our system prompt, and as a user role, we're passing in our prompt that corresponds to the prompt for creating that particular part of the story. We're additionally setting some options. We're setting the temperature to give this, so this is 70% or 0.7, so that the AI is a bit more creative, and we're limiting the number of threads to the operating system CPU count times 0.5, so meaning we're using half of the CPU cores, so that we don't create CPU usage of 100% and make the system unstable. So this way the system can still be used for other things while it is generating the story. And if there is any errors, we return that error information, and of course if not, we return the content as text as mentioned. So then we have the function that generates the whole hero journey. So that of course it receives the name, which is the hero's name, and the birth date, and the list of motifs. So it initializes the list for the different story parts. It prepares the different motifs descriptions, because that's what we're going to be passing into the prompt. It just calculates the age bit based on the birth date, so that we can also pass that into the prompts. It defines the prompts for the different parts of the Campbell's hero's journey. So we have the call to adventure, the supernatural aid, the road to trials, the apotheosis, the ultimate boon, and the return. And we have the corresponding prompt for each one, which has the name and the age and the birth date. And then we generate each part of the journey. So for each of the titles, and for each of the prompts in the prompt item, so we're passing in title as the title here, and this is the prompt. It's going to be in the prompt variable. So we're going to be printing that we are generating that part, and we're calling the generate story part function that we have seen before. We pass in the prompt, and then we append to the list for that title. So for instance, call to adventure, the generated story that the generate story part function has returned for that prompt. And when it's all finished, we return the different story parts. Then we have the function that saves to Markdown. That pretty much receives the name, the birthday, and the motifs list, and the different story parts, so that can all be recorded in the Markdown file. So it writes the header with the name and the birthday and the selected motifs. And for each of no motifs, it provides more information, not just the description, but also the locations and more content. And then, of course, it writes different story parts. Just writes the title with the Markdown format, and the content as the content of that particular story part. And all of this will be the resulting Markdown file. Then our narrate story function that receives, of course, a list of the different story parts, and for each of them, again, the title and content. It will start narrating, and we do that by engine say, and the engine is the PyTTT SXT that we as instantiated before. So the say, we say the title and then the content. We're waiting for that part to finish, and then it will resume for the next part until it finishes all the parts. Finally, we have our run method, which is the mid execution flow. So it checks for the model availability, it gets the user input, it loads the different motifs, and if that's not possible, then we return and we print error message. It generates the story by calling the generate hero journey, which internally calls the generate for one particular part. We save that to Markdown after all the story parts are finished, and we start the narration for all the story parts. And of course, we have our main function when our script is executed that creates an instance of the HeroJourneyGenerator class in generator, and then we call generator run, the function that we just saw, to run through the entire workflow. So if we run our script, in this case I already download the Ollama model, so it has not need to download. You might need to download if you have not already. So I'm going to write my actual name. I'm going to enter my birth date. And as you see, it is generating the personalized hero journey, and now it's calling each of the part generation, and it's using the Ollama 3.21b model to generate each of the parts. This will take a couple of minutes. It can perfectly run on CPU. It will not take that long, but let's wait for it to finish, and then I'll come back once it has finished generating so that we can hear the narration.
Call to adventure.
So it has finished, and as you can notice, it is now narrating the story.
1980s nostalgia that lingered within him like a worn velvet cloak. The 1st of January, 1985, marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life, one filled with promise and uncertainty. As he strolled along the Tagus River, the scent of blooming jasmine wafted through the air, carrying with it whispers of a lifetime yet to unfold. It was on this fateful day that Nuno's world was turned upside down. A fire had ravaged his family's antique shop, leaving him with more than just destruction. He had lost his sense of purpose.
So as you can see, it has generated the whole story and also the narration. Let me stop the narration. As you can see, the whole story has been generated. If I scroll down, you see the different parts. Supernatural shade. And this example will be also in the GitHub repository that you can access it. The link will be in the description of the video. And we also get, of course, access to all the code. And that's more or less how we can generate a hero's journey, mythological story, in several different parts with local AI using Ollama. If you prefer to have a more written documentation of the script, then you can also check out the article in the developer service .blog. It will be up by the time that this video is also out. If you found this video interesting, give it a like, subscribe to the channel for more videos about Python, Django, and AI, some also quirky scripts like this one. And until next time, happy coding!